I am a Liverpudlian, and I come from the Spion Cup. I love to sing, I love to shout, I get thrown out quite a lot. We support the team that's dressed in red. It's a team that you all know. It's a team that we call Liverpool, and to glory we will go. We've won the
Hello, one and all. Welcome to the Plastic Scousers podcast. My name's Matt Simpson, and this is my co-host, a man who once came second in a primary school spelling bee, failing not on the spelling itself, but the subsequent drugs test. It's Owen Collins.
Heroin. H-E-R-I...
No,
Oh.
Gaz.
Can't even spell it. Can't even spell it.
Was that legitimate? Was that a legitimate thing?
Yeah, I was... what was that for? Heroin.
Herion.
Heroin. That's what they call it where I'm from, down in the West Country. Heroin. I'm just going to inject some heroin.
Heroin.
I'm just going to do me a bit of smack right in my main line. Hello.
Particularly for 7 and 8 year olds.
Yes, exactly. There's not much else to do in the West Country.
No, there really isn't. Hello to all of you listening in the West Country. As the season hits its stride, we here at the Plastic Scousers will be digging into the nitty-gritty of the month of September. With a total of 6 fixtures across 3 competitions, there's bags of games, goals and talking points for us to get through, with all the usual brand of insight and irreverence that only we can provide.
As well as that, we get right back to finding our Premier League's despicable 11. Right back. Yeah. Right back. And we attempt to outdo each other with another selection of brilliantly terrible, or is that terribly brilliant, LFC jokes. But before we get into that, we do have to talk about football. And unfortunately, we have to start with...
Yeah, away at Man City.
Oh, God almighty.
Now, a bit of context for this. Of course, the last game we'd had all the way back in sort of mid to late August was a demolition of Arsenal. 4-0 demolition that could easily have been more. And of course, a player on their team was none other than Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, who would end up joining us, and he would see his first action in this game, starting on the bench in what was a very strong lineup with one surprise inclusion. Owen.
Yeah, Ragnar Klavan came in at centre back, deposing the much maligned Dan Lovren to the bench, which, I mean, given that, he looked to be probably one of the weakest links so far this season. Obviously, we haven't had many games yet, but of anyone, you'd probably say Lovren was the slightly shaky one. It was a surprise, but it wasn't too disappointing, was it?
No, it just felt a bit of a risk considering we were away at one of the best teams in the country. That was the thing.
Yeah, but how likely was it to backfire, really?
It didn't start that way. I mean,
No.
During the for the first half of this game, certainly the first half of the first half, we actually weren't that bad. It was kind of an even match. We looked a little bit vulnerable at the back, but we were, Mane and Salah on either wing were giving their defenders a lot of problems, and could easily have gone 1-0 up. Remember, Salah was through, and as a weird theme of the month, missed a good chance, using his pace well, and then using his feet poorly. Unfortunately, that didn't last all that long, as on the 24th minute we go 1-0 down.
Yeah, and it was Sergio Aguero, of course, who scored, finally making up for that dreadful miss at the end of the fixture last season.
He has scored. You think I'm right in saying he scored against us at the Etihad 4 times in a row now, or 5 times in a row, something like that.
Yes, I think you're right. Yeah, he scored against us last season's 1-0 draw. In the season before when we won 4-1. In the season before that when I think we lost 3-1.
Yep, and the one before that where it was 2-2.
Yeah,
it's 5 in a row.
In fact, he scored in January 2012 as well.
Good God!
Against us, twice. That was when we played him in the... Was it the League Cup that season? The semi-final?
I really can't remember. I can't
Yeah,
remember.
it was. I mean, it's weird because I can't really remember September very well, but I can remember that was 2011-2012 season when we won the whatever it was then Carling Cup. We beat Man City in the semi-finals on aggregate or after extra time. I can't quite remember, but he scored at the Etihad then, and he scored a week earlier when they beat us 3-0. I think he has scored. Against us at every game in the Etihad he's played.
It's ridiculous.
That's mad.
Yeah, 1-0 down, but I mean, it's not over by any stretch. 1-0 down away at Man City. There's plenty of time, opportunity to get back into it. And on the 37th minute, a great ball across, I think Emre Can delivers a ball back past their back line. And then what happens?
Well, the sad thing is, Mane was kind of looking to connect with the ball. And actually, if he'd got a clean connection, we all thought, this will be the moment we get back in it. Because like you say, we were looking like we could. It was 1-0, we were 1-0 down, but it wasn't all over and done with. And we thought this could actually be when we turn it around and get back into it. And instead it was a complete opposite of that. It turned out to be basically full time for us, an hour early. Mane didn't... Wow, debate rages, Matt. Debate rages on.
Yeah, it's actually very, very angry, I have to say.
I mean, he sort of clipped the ball.
I mean, he's
arguably.
Well, look, just to explain what happens, he's running to he's got the ball's thrown over the top. He's chasing after it. The goalkeeper's come out. The goalkeeper's gone to head it, which he just gets in front of Mane on. Mane's foot is high, catches him square in the face.
Yeah.
And Mane is sent off straight to the stands for an early bath.
I mean, it was a boot to the face scenario.
But I mean, Edison was down for a good 10 minutes, I think.
Yeah, it was a quite horrible kind of scene, and it always is with a head injury. But especially when someone's down that long, do you know what I mean? And but yeah, it was definite boot to face contact. Now, it wasn't deliberate, obviously. But was it still a red?
Not in the slightest, no.
Not the slightest?
No, not in a million years, right? How many high foot incidents are given during the course of a match or course of a season, right? Loads, absolutely loads. None of them have seen red. None of them see red. This is possibly the first time I can ever remember a high foot seeing a red card. The second thing I'd like to say on it is the fact that, yes, Edison went down with a nasty injury. Unfortunately, we didn't actually end up being as bad as many had feared. But the injury has nothing to do with whether Mane should have been sent off. Absolutely no. And yet a lot of people were arguing that meant he should. And I find that excuse laughable. But thirdly, first, as you said, it wasn't a deliberate, aggressive foul. It was just a nasty freak accident. And every single striker would have gone for that ball. So quite frankly, how anyone could see in their right mind that was a sending off is quite frankly disgusting.
I mean, I've still not quite made my mind up. I'm not quite as down the line about it as you are. Mainly because, like you say, the fact that it was a bad injury shouldn't count against him, because you can get a bad injury, clashing heads with someone, and you don't get sent off for it. Do you know what I mean? If two players jump from the same header, bang heads, they've suddenly got blood pouring down their neck. Like, Martin Skirtle happened a few times, and he wouldn't even dream of giving him a booking, never mind a red. But I think whether it was deliberate or not is almost irrelevant, because you'd have thought most fouls are accidental. You wouldn't think many players would kind of go out and deliberately commit a foul. But, if they didn't, there would be no fouls given. Do you know what I mean? You've got to penalise accidents as much as you've got, because the majority of fouls are accidents. And if we stop penalising accidents, there'll be no more bookings ever again. Unless you have people like Roy Keane who just deliberately want to consciously injure someone. What I'd have probably said it was a red, but only a one-match ban.
Right.
And am I right? He got a 3-match ban, didn't he?
Yeah, he had a 3-match ban. It was upheld after appeal.
Yeah. See, I would have thought send him off. Dubious, but probably justifiable. But then on reviewing it, Because let's not forget as well, the ref sees it once from one angle, and that's for him, and he's got like less than 10 seconds really to make a decision about it, based on that one kind of. Do you know what I mean? It'd be like watching a film from the same camera angle the whole way through and then being asked your opinions on it. Well, I suppose that's really what theatre is. But anyway, but what I do think that the FA should have reduced the ban on appeal. I think that was the kind of outrageous bit, was that like it was clearly an accident, clearly, unintentional, and they still banned him for 3 games. That bit is what kind of sticks in my craw.
I don't know. I think the whole thing, as I said before, the amount of high foot challenges you see in the league, the amount that make contact with people, don't even see fouls given, let alone red cards. And that's just because I just felt so unfair, because it ruined our game. It just ruined it.
Yeah, I think the feeling of injustice was compounded by what came after a sending off. Do you want to go into that briefly, because my heart can't take it, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I mean, I switched off mentally anyway after this, because it was gone. Yeah.
You know what, Matt? You weren't alone. There were at least 10 Liverpool players who did the same thing that day. Exactly.
It's just before half-time, we are 2-0 down through Gabriel Jesus. And then second half, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain does make his debut, which wasn't exactly an ideal time to be coming on.
Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, who, let's not forget, made his last appearance for his previous club in a 4-0 defeat. And we know that because it was us that were defeating them 4-0.
Yeah.
Came on for Mohamed Salah, wasn't it?
At half-time. I mean, it was all a bit weird. I think most people agreed it was Klopp trying to save his players to the weekend, kind of knowing this game was up. Also, for the Champions League, sorry.
Well, we'll come to that in a minute. But yeah, it was kind of I would say it was a damage limitation scenario for the second half, but the problem with that is that we didn't really limit the damage.
No, it got confounded and expanded quite dramatically as 3 more goals flew past us in the second half, where we had absolutely nothing to offer, and we found ourselves like 10 men against the side who, let's be honest, probably the best in the league, certainly in terms of attacking play, and City just ran us riot.
Yeah, it was an absolute mauling. Jesus scored on 53rd minute, Sane on the 77th, and then again on the 90th minute. Like, it was just, there's not even anything to say between these goals. Do you know what I mean? Because we didn't offer anything. We didn't look like even pulling consolation back. We looked threatened. It could easily have been more. Oh god, yeah, we did quite well to get away with What really annoyed me, well, a lot of things really annoyed me, mainly losing 5-0, but it was that 5th goal, because until then, I think Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain would have been the first player to ever lose 2 games consecutively 4-0 while playing for 2 different clubs. I don't think that's happened certainly not in the Premier League before.
Right.
But yeah, they couldn't even let us have that.
It was after the Arsenal trouncing. This was a worrying sign, I think.
Yeah. This kind of brought us. Tell you what it was. Arsenal was us beating Barcelona 4-0 at Wembley. This was losing 5-0 to Mainz.
Yeah, or whatever it was. Yeah. Whatever
it was.
So yeah, sadly the month gets off to an atrocious start. We lose Mane for basically most of it, except in Europe, of course. Which is where we go to next, but it was a nasty way to have to go into our go into our Champions League battle proper. Yeah,
only the second time we've been in the Champions League group stage for about 7 seasons, wasn't it? There was a particularly unmemorable foray under Brendan Rodgers 2 years ago.
Yeah.
3 years ago, and then before that was under Rafa. So, yeah. A lot of water has flown under a lot of bridges since we last had a proper tilt at the Champions League, including an ill-fated Europa League campaign, which ended in another really heartbreaking defeat to Seville, who, as the gods of European football irony would have it, were our opponents tonight. Well, not tonight, that night, then.
Yep.
When it was.
And getting back into the Champions League, home tie under the lights of Anfield crowd. It's one of the best sights in Europe, I think.
It is.
And you imagine the players coming out. There's a couple of changes. A couple of changes were made to this in this game, but it was still a very strong lineup. Dejan Lovren was back in the side. Loris Karius was in goal, which is a thing we'll come to see throughout our Champions League games. He will be our European goalkeeper.
Yeah, Klopp has announced that he will be, which I'm quite disappointed by, mainly because, well, at the risk of sounding like a stuck record again, Matt, but we've got two decent goalkeepers at this club, and we've got one very good goalkeeper, and it's a very good goalkeeper that seems to be getting fewest chances of all. And if it was done on merit, I wouldn't mind, and if it was like, we're happy to switch him around, rest them, try someone else, give everyone equal opportunities, but what it seems to be was that Mignolet gets the league, Karius gets Europe, and Danny Ward, the great overlooked, gets the crumbs from the table, including the League Cup, which we will come to later. But that annoys me.
Yeah, but Karius Karius did find himself on goal for this game. And within 5 minutes, he's already conceded.
Yep. And it seems a long time ago that we thought he was the future of Liverpool's goalkeeping situation, doesn't it?
It does a little bit. I mean,
he's kind of become a massive scapegoat.
To be fair, his first goal, he has it's not his fault. The ball sort of they break down down our right wing, defender static. Joel Matip gets nowhere near it. Ball's played across. Their striker Ben Yedder, easy tap in, and we basically hadn't switched on.
It's worth pointing out this is quite a different Sevilla team to the one we played just over a year before. But it looked like it was gonna be the same way. Yeah. It's weird. Like you say, we just hadn't switched on. A really slow start, and that is something you don't see very often under Klopp. Do you know what I mean? Klopp's like the kind of one of the trademarks of we'll look at last season because we'll use the whole Klopp season rather than the kind of when he took over halfway through the season. But one of the trademarks was a massively energetic bang 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 start, and then a struggle to maintain that energy. Whereas what we seem to be seeing this season is actually the opposite. It's it's a really sluggish first kind of 5-10 minutes, and then we've kind of got ourselves into an uphill battle where we can use the energy, but we're having to really claw our way back into a game rather than dominating it from the off like we did last season. Do you know what I mean?
Certainly, I'd argue in first halves of games, yes. I think in the second half we lose a lot of pace and ground. More so than we did last season, which is again another theme you'll see throughout the course of this month. Mm-hmm. But you're right. We needed to get back into it early, and it took another 15 minutes, but eventually we did through that man Bobby Firmino.
It was a. Talk us through the goal.
Yep, Alberto Moreno down the left-hand side shows some great skill. Seemingly, I don't know who this guy is, but he certainly isn't Alberto Moreno as I remember him. Don't know if you agree, Owen. It's
Yeah, it's I don't know what's happened there, to be honest. I find it interesting that he wasn't our first choice left back last season, despite being our only left back last season, and yet that didn't kind of make him raise his game. But us signing another actual left back did. So it's almost like he doesn't mind kind of indignity of losing his place to a midfielder, but he does mind when we sign someone else. I'm trying to apply logic to an illogical situation, Matt, because it is. I just don't know what's happened there. He's gone away over the summer, and he's come back a really decent player.
I mean, this is Alberto Moreno. Logic just never applies.
No,
anyway,
you have to watch him play to know that.
Yeah, so anyway, ball down the right side. It eventually falls to Firmino in the box, finishes it off. Back in the game.
And actually, it was almost exactly the same amount of time. Again, In fact, it was the same amount of time. They scored on 5th minute, we scored on 21st. It was 16 minutes later again when there was another goal.
There was, indeed. We've been much the better side after this, growing into the game. And after another Bobby Firmino shot is parried by the keeper, straight to Mohamed Salah, who taps it in, and we're in the lead.
We're in the lead. And actually, we're in quite a comfortable position at this point. We're playing quite well. We've sort of... And this is like I was saying earlier, we had a slow start and then we're having to play catch up, but we do it. And we get there, but we make life difficult for ourselves. And we had a chance to make life really easy for ourselves just before half time, didn't we?
We did, yeah. I can't remember who was fouled in the lead up to this.
I can't either. No, I can't. I get a feeling it might have been Salah.
Salah or Mane. I mean, either or. Either way, we win a penalty with a few minutes before half time.
And this, Matt, is where you miss James Milner, who was on the bench, like he's been for most of the season so far. And so in his absence, now that he's no longer first choice left back, Bobby Firmino is our number one penalty taker. Now, how do you feel about that?
I mean,
we should say actually he missed. Yeah,
based on current evidence, not great.
No.
Yeah, he strokes the ball, it goes wide, just misses the goal completely. And yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say. It's extremely annoying.
Millie would have buried that.
Of course. But we still are winning at this point, even though we've had the slightly frustrating penalty miss as we go into half time. And the second half's a bit... I mean, we don't play as well. Sevilla look more dangerous. But we still seem to have chances. It's not like, I mean, I think we had some level of control of the game. And, I mean, even though we should have been ahead with the penalty, we had other opportunities as well.
Yeah, we did. And we didn't take them. And for all our kind of attacking prowess, we're not very good at using our opportunities at the moment. It's not like everything those periods where everything you hit just ends up in back of a net.
Yeah, Harry Kane calls those all the time.
Yeah. And to be fair, we've had it in the past. That 13-14 season, Suarez only had to put a toe to it in the box and it would go in. Partly it's skill, partly it's luck and just momentum. But whatever the opposite of that is, we do seem to suffer from quite a lot. Where we could stand there pinging balls at the goal for 6 hours and we wouldn't actually get one in. It's just sometimes it's not your day, sometimes it's not your month. Over time, it's not your season. But yeah, and eventually this time it came back to haunt us again, as usual. 72nd minute, I think it was.
Yep.
Joaquin Correa. Which is, Joaquin is a good name for an attacking player. But yeah, he scored. Seville equalised. I can't really remember the goal.
It's a good finish.
Yeah.
But again, it's poor defending. We let too many passes in. We're not tight enough to the midfield. We allow him space and time, and he doesn't make a mistake. 2-2. And I mean, we were then pretty much back. We were then fighting to try and win the game. Sevilla were looking dangerous on the counter. But yeah, nothing happened, and that was the end of the game. There was one other event I do forget. It's the second sending off in 4 days.
Yeah, considering we hadn't actually had a red card for the whole of last season. Our last sending off prior to Sadio Mane. Well, Matt, can you remember who it was?
Was it James Milner against Crystal Palace?
It was not, Matt.
Oh.
It was and I won't hold this against you for forgetting because it was Brad Smith.
Oh, it was.
Against Swansea City at the end of the 15-16 season. We won't talk about that game because that was awful as well. And so having not had a red card for well over a year, we got 2 in 4 days. And Joe Gomez, such an unlikely lad to get a red card.
Yeah, a bit of frustration, a second yellow, and he's off.
He's off. I mean, the one silver lining to these 2 red cards is that they don't overlap with each other. In fact, Gomez could still play in the league and Mane could still play in the Champions League. So we were still only kind of missing one player for that time.
Not quite direct replacements, though.
No, not quite. Joe Gomez, of course, famously has never scored for Liverpool, and Sadio Mane is right back. We just don't know. But given our kind of paucity of options, we might well end up finding out come January. But yeah, so it was a bit just one other thing that happened. It was quite notable that we should probably talk about, actually. Just before the sending off, on the 76th minute. And this was a moment that provoked a mixed response from the beautiful floodlit Anfield European night crowd. It was the introduction, for the first time this season, of a certain Philippe Coutinho.
Oh, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've mentioned this, yeah, have we?
After a summer in which, he heard his name sung by Liverpool fans across the country, mainly followed by words which rhyme with duck cough. Having turned himself from kind of our star player into into a hate figure, almost like he really kind of pissed on his chips. What with his transfer requests and all of that malarkey, and then pretending he had a bad back or something like that, and he didn't really endear himself beyond that. But he was back. Came on for the last 15 minutes. Got a mixed reception. There was quite a lot of applause. There are a few murmuring boos. And I think both were justified. But Matt, if you'd been in the crowd that night, what would you have done? Would you have cheered or would you have booed?
I probably would have cheered, only because there were bigger and more important things at the time, i.e. we needed another goal.
Yeah, true. And also, I think, we need to show him why he should be here, not at Barcelona. And we need to show him what we've got that Barcelona haven't. And what we've got that Barcelona haven't is, the noise of the Anfield crowd. And that can't be replicated, in my opinion, in any stadium, whether in England or across Europe. And we kind of need to, I think, at the risk of, patronising him or, mollycoddling him or overlooking his past demeanours because he's just, poor little delicate flower. No, I think he was a dickhead over the summer, but we need to show him a love, and we need to show him that actually, he is one of ours, and we want him to be one of ours ultimately. So I'm with you. I would have cheered, and I'm glad that on the whole, Anfield did as well.
Exactly.
Also, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain came on with 2 minutes to go to make his European debut for Liverpool. It was a good 2 minutes.
Well, on his standards, absolutely. But let's move on from that now and go back to the Premier League to face a side that we don't really like. Owen, let's be honest.
No.
This is a home tie with Burnley.
Burnley. We've had some ups and downs against Burnley over the years as well. Mainly last season. With that memorable game where we just completely dominated, but we didn't really we didn't have many real opportunities, and so we had a frustrating result. But that wasn't going to happen this time.
Nope.
Because what happened this time, Matt?
Well, in the lineup, we had some interesting things. You got to see Andrew Robertson again for the first time in a while.
Yeah, almost a forgotten man already, isn't he?
Yeah.
Would you go as far to say he's the new Stephen Colker?
I don't know. Those are very different situations.
Yeah.
With what we found out about what happened to Stephen Colker, I think different situations.
Yeah, fair point.
But we
Big
also
love, Steve, if you're listening. Big love.
Absolutely. But no, it was nice to see him putting on a Liverpool shirt again. Danny Sturridge started. They got a rare opportunity.
Yeah, that was the first of the season. I think, or certainly a rare sight. But actually, performance-wise, it was Well, it was more of the same, really, wasn't it?
Much of the same as if the last two times we played Burnley, of course, we lost 2-0 away early last season in a game we had 81% possession in. And then we managed to scrape a 2-1 victory in the home tie through a great Emre Can goal. But, I mean, this was a lot of us battering down the claret wall, only to find a series of very sturdy British players, and let's just mention Nick Pope, who came in for his first Burnley game, as Tom Heaton is now injured for several months, and did what we now like to refer to as an Alex McCarthy on us.
Oh, Alex McCarthy. I got a lot of time for Alex McCarthy, Matt. A lot of time. But yeah, I'd never heard of him before, Nick Pope, so he'll go far, that lad. He'll go far.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, he kind of stopped us in a lot of instances. In fact, so much so, we were behind within half an hour again.
Scott Arfield, wasn't it?
So, I mean, it's a great strike, it's a great volley after the knockdown from the striker, but for God's sake.
It's just, I mean, we've got some real problems in our defence, and it doesn't seem to matter what lineup we play. Whether it's Klavan and Matip and Lovren, Matip, Lovren and Gomez, Matip, Lovren and Alexander-Arnold, Matip, Klavan and Alexander-Arnold, Moreno, Robertson, whoever it is, the defence never looks settled. Well, probably because we've got all those options. But it just never looks comfortable. Do you know what I mean? It never looks like it's fully confident what it's doing.
But and if you're saying that, then surely it's a systematic problem.
Well, yeah.
It can't be all of those players. It has to be something more fundamental than that.
I mean, are we missing a leader? Are we missing a rock to build the centre of defence around?
No, I think we're just tactically vulnerable, truth be told.
Yeah.
Yep. But because you can't keep, you could put Virgil van Dijk in that defence and he would have problems. You could put Mats Hummels there. You could put Sergio Ramos. You could put, Thiago, any of these incredible, biggest and best centre-backs in the world. They would have problems because of the way we play.
But
in my opinion.
So I don't know. I think the way we play, I think it's a chicken and egg thing. I think you say the way we play, but is it just because they're not capable of playing any better?
Well, no, because if you're basically, if you've got the two fullbacks who are both bombing on, as we tend to do, and you don't play a natural defensive midfielder to cover into a three, Jordan Henderson plays there, Emre Can plays there, and they're not naturally defensive-minded players in the mould of like a Javier Mascherano or whatever, then they're just left vulnerable. And if all you have to do is get a big man up top, like Burnley have, one runner off him in Scott Arfield, and suddenly you've got 2-on-2. And that happens so many times, and there's just no one covering. I'll tell you what might fix it though, and that depends on how well he's used, which I'm sure he will. Naby Keita could do it.
Yeah.
He's got the pace, the intelligence, the power to play in that defensive slot of the three where Henderson's currently playing. If he plays not a disciplined role, but more of I think he could be a better option and actually make the two defenders behind him look better as a result.
So you think Naby Keita is potentially the new Lucas?
No, I think Naby Keita is. I think Naby Keita could be part of a solution to our defensive problems.
What about the new Mash? Yeah, okay. I'd be interested to see if he does get played there. I wouldn't.
I think that's where he's been signed to play. Personally, that's I think that because Jurgen Klopp sees so much because he's the N'Golo Kante is what they say. And N'Golo Kante plays. Leicester always said when they played N'Golo Kante in their team, they were like, right, well, we'll have a three in midfield, we'll have Danny Drinkwater there, and then N'Golo Kante either side of him. And I think that's what they're intending to do with Naby Keita, is to kind of fill out the midfield by having someone of that quality there.
Well, I hope you're right, because that does sound like quite a good plan.
See, I do know things.
You do. I've never doubted it. I'm just wondering why you're not. You've not got a direct line to Jurgen himself, because actually that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so either way, fortunately we go 1-0 down again. It doesn't take us long to get back, though.
No, it takes us all of about 2.5 minutes.
And it's a great goal as well, this one.
And it's that man again, the man who is rapidly becoming to kind of scrappy games we should be winning, what Philip Coutinho is to the big games that we're not quite expecting to win. Mohamed Salah.
It's an excellent strike Ball down from Mei Chan, picks the ball up, cross the goal. Great strike, goalkeeper no chance. 1-1 within 3 minutes.
And at the risk of spoiling it for the listeners, that was really how it stayed.
It was so bloody annoying.
It was
I hate Burnley. I hate them.
There wasn't much of a game in the second half, really, was it?
We tried, but...
Well, we did. And as I say, complete dominance, but no real kind of... We never kind of looked like scoring for it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Another of those games where you could just kind of watch us shoot at goal for 6 hours, 6 years, I almost said, but both, and just not see us score. It was just not happening.
What was good was the fact that it took Jurgen Klopp to realise this a whole 80 minutes before he decided to do anything about it, which, as we have previously discussed, is not something we're very happy about.
And then, even then, who did he put on? But Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain.
And to be fair, Dominic Solanke, who I would like to see a bit more of.
Yeah, I feel for him because he's sort of becoming... I know we said in the August podcast how he's kind of overtaken Divock Origi to become a new Divock Origi. But he really has, in that he will be kind of... He only ever gets to play in last 15 minutes of a game, and he just can't really do anything. He's a kind of put on to maybe break a deadlock, but he's basically a night watchman in cricket. And yeah, what's he supposed to do in that time? I'd like to really see him get a proper full half or even a full 90 minutes and actually be allowed to play a proper game of football for us. But yeah, so him, it was a positive going on. But Oxlade-Chamberlain is kind of rapidly establishing himself as, how can I put this politely, a waste of money.
Well, that's your polite way.
Yeah, trust me.
Your impolite way was a f***ing waste of money.
Along those lines, yeah, along those lines.
Very funny.
But he's not who you want to be seeing coming on in this kind of situation. But then, looking at the alternatives on the bench, we didn't really have anyone else. What with Mane suspended, and we're already looking a bit short. The squad depth is somehow kind of coming into question again already.
Seems daft. There are a few injuries. Lallana, for example, has been out since the start of the season. That's a big miss.
Obviously, Mane suspended, but
yeah.
Other than that, that's basically our entire first team was either on the pitch or on the bench then.
Yeah, that's right.
But so yeah, it finished 1-1. It was a disappointing result. And yeah, just in everything, in terms of our dominance, our failure to turn it into wins, the standing keeper having a blinder, it was all just so familiar, wasn't it?
Yeah, but speaking of Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, and in fact Dominic Solanke, who you said you wanted to see him play 90 minutes,
indeed,
in the next game he did.
Yes, and actually, talking of squad depth, this was one hell of a lineup. This was a really... where do we start?
As a man who does like the squads and squad lineups and things, why don't you take us through some of your highlights?
Well, my obvious highlight is going to be the first appearance of the season of Danny Ward, who I mentioned just now. As I say, gets to chew on the crumbs from the table of Mignolet and Karius. Andrew Robertson back in for a starting position for what I think turned out to be the last time this month. Oxlade-Chamberlain making his first start, Dominic Solanke making his first start, Marco Grujic appearing for the first time this season, and I don't even know which one of these is most surprising, because on the bench we had Danny Ings back involved again, Ben Woodburn, who we haven't seen as much of this season as I would quite have liked to, and judging by our failure to actually break down defences we probably should have done. Laser Markovic.
There you go, in from the cold.
Back from the wilderness, the spy who came in from the cold himself. And the last time he was involved in a matchday squad for Liverpool, Matt, do you know?
I don't know, there was a game against West Brom. Was he there then? Did he leave before that? I can't remember.
No, that was the end of the 15-16 season you're thinking of, when Danny Ings came back in, and Sergi Canos played. No, Blaise Markovic's last match day involvement with Liverpool first team was on the 24th of May 2015, well over 2 years ago, in what was Steven Gerrard's last ever game for the club. And needless to say, we lost 6-1 to Stoke. We won't talk about that. But he didn't even play that day. He was an unused sub. And this will make you feel old. The three substitutes chosen instead of him that day were Jordan Ibe, Kolo Touré, and recently retired Ricky Lambert.
Oh, Ricky Lambert. Best of luck.
A
personal favourite of ours.
Roy of the Rovers. But yeah, so Blaise Markovic was back on the bench. Danny Ings was there, Ben Woodburn was there, Gruich, Solanke, Oxlade-Chamberlain, Ward, Robertson, and still we haven't got to perhaps the most surprising inclusion, which was our right back, John Flanagan. Yeah, back in the squad for the first time since, guess when?
2 years ago, League Cup game, I guess, maybe.
Oh, it was actually, funnily enough, the game against West Brom you mentioned earlier. On the last day of the 15-16 season. Missed all of last year. Well, of course he missed all of last year. He was on loan at Burnley. So, and not just back in the squad, like starting at right back.
Amazing.
So that was a it was a lineup that really made you think, ooh,
okay.
Yeah, kind of good, cool, exciting, interesting, but also Leicester are sort of quite good.
They are sort of quite good, yeah.
Is this a bit of a gamble? And of course it was a gamble. And in the first half, it looked like the gamble was paying off.
Well, yeah, I mean, we were playing really well. Coutinho who did start this game, sort of ran the show, basically, and, created several good opportunities. And we could have considered ourselves quite unlucky, but then, as we've said before, finishing chances is proving our problem. And, both Solanke and Oxlade-Chamberlain missed good chances, and Hendo missed a decent chance, who was also starting in this game. It was more of the same. Leicester weren't really offering that much, but still threatened on the break as they do. And then at half time, it all changed.
Yeah, we said the Burnley game felt familiar, but this one, at least that's familiar just like every year. This one was like being in some weird time capsule to the Brendan Rodgers era. We had Markovic, Ings and Flanagan all in the squad, and as soon as we took Coutinho off, we didn't have any ideas whatsoever. And it's like, what year is this?
It was history repeating itself, wasn't it?
It was. It was just like it was like the last 2 years hadn't happened, particularly because 2 years ago, and in fact the last time Flanagan played a first team game of football for Liverpool, that very same afternoon, Leicester were parading the Premier League trophy around the King Power Stadium. What a difference 2 and a bit years makes. Or not, in our case. So, yeah, it was a...
frustrating.
Yeah, it just, second half it was bereft of ideas.
Poor Ben Woodburn, who came on to replace him, he looked quite out of his depth.
Yeah, he did. And that's really damning in that team, do you know what I mean? Like it'd be bad enough looking out of your depth if you're playing alongside Coutinho, Firmino, Salah and Mane, but to look out of your depth alongside John Flanagan, Ragnar Klavan and Marco Gruich. No offence to any of those.
To be fair, though, he was trying to replace Philippe Coutinho. That's not particularly fair.
Yeah, and he's trying to replace Philippe Coutinho in a difficult situation where we need a goal. Everyone's getting a bit restless. And I think people are starting to see the writing on the wall. And he's... Actually, I can't remember if we spoke about this last time. Ben Woodburn's been being used in that sort of moment in time quite a lot lately for Wales, in that when Wales have been up against it a bit and it's like, oh, clock's running down, really need a goal here, throw on Ben Woodburn. And for the most part, to his credit, he's actually either given a goal or he's given a hell of an assist, and he has turned it around, and the crowd have gone wild, but he couldn't do it for us this time, despite having 45 minutes to do it. And then Okazaki
off the bench
on 65th minute, off the bench himself. Scored.
Yeah, finished off a decent move, put it in the bottom corner. And you just sort of knew that there was no way back already. So it's horrible to say, but yeah.
And then, yeah, like you said, yeah, everyone could just see the writing on the wall after that. 73 minutes, Danny Ings came on, which was quite nice to see, but so it was. 5 minutes later,
Yeah, Islam and Slimani scores. To be fair, this is a great goal. Properly curls a shot right to the top corner. Ward didn't have any chances with both of the goals, to be fair, but this one particularly was, I'll admit, was a very good goal. And yeah, we're knocked out the cup at the first stage.
Do you think that will be good news in the long run, or not?
I mean, I wrote this in the production notes for the episode. I kind of think it might be, to be honest with you, because we sort of need, we've a couple of years ago we really suffered through the amount of games that we had, over Christmas and in sort of that November/January time, and I think maybe with the European folk being able to focus on nothing but Europe and the Premier League until after Christmas, maybe we can actually have a decent fist at both.
Yeah, I'd like to think that's true. And actually, normally when we do have a good tilt of a title, it comes in seasons where we've gone out of the cup quite early. If you look at like 13-14, or where we're not in Europe. So actually, normally having one less competition does aid us in the league. But what annoys me about it is that actually there's a lot of, talking as we were about the depth of our squad, there's a lot of fringe players that would have really needed the opportunities they were going to get in the League Cup that now probably won't get actual first team game until January. I mean, people like, not just Danny Ings, who almost like his card is marked, but Danny Ward and Ben Woodburn and, Ejaria, and even some of the younger ones we've not seen yet, like, Brewster or Conor Masterson. Like, the League Cup was the potential for them to actually start getting some games and experience under their belt and actually really, because we've probably got the squad depth. It's just when you get to the depths of the squad, we don't have the experience because, it is people like Ovi Ejaria, Marco Grujic, and they're not going to get the game time now. Or even someone like Dominic Solanke's not going to get a proper chance. And that is what really saddens me about it, is that we've kind of, in getting knocked out of the cup that night, we've kind of ended, well, we've certainly ended Danny Ings and John Flanagan's Liverpool careers, I believe. And we might have severely put a dent in Ovijari's, Danny Ward's, and a few other people's.
Yeah, you do get that fear, don't you? Until January, certainly. But moving on from that, or shall we move on? I think the coordinators at Liverpool had to keep those hotel tickets extended for a few more days because we go to the Premier League and we're at the King Power again.
Yeah, in the spirit of Danny Ings, we're going to stay in the same place, yeah. Actually, this is good because one thing I didn't mention for the last game is that we still haven't beaten Craig Shakespeare, who I really don't like very much.
No.
Beat us in his first game as Leicester manager last year, beat us in the League Cup. So third time lucky against Shakespeare.
This is a very nervy game. To be fair, this game was mental.
Yeah, it was a bit mad, wasn't it?
Just all over the place.
I mean, do you want to talk us through it?
Yeah, I mean, first half, we basically came on all our, one of our strongest lineups. All the main players were back. Coutinho, Firmino, of course no Mane, but we had players like Hendo and Chan and Dale and John Matip all back. So pretty much.
And Moreno as well. Weirdly, Moreno coming back in as a first team player again.
Yeah, he's our first choice left back at the moment.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we found ourselves with our strongest lineup, and we came out flying in this game. We had a couple of great chances very early on, and it took until the 15th minute for Salah, who had previously missed basically an open goal a few minutes before, with a fantastic header from a great Coutinho ball. We're 1-0 up.
Yeah. Hadn't Emre Can played a part in that goal as well?
Emre Can had hit prior to missing the open goal. Salah did. It was a strike by Emre Can, which had cannoned off the post, fallen to Salah with an open goal, and he'd missed it.
Yes, I'm getting my two mixed up. But yeah, little header.
For a small guy, he gets up well.
He does. I was going to say he's not like built. Do you know what I mean? He's quite a slight kind of. He's more of almost a winger's physique for a sort of out and out attacker. But yeah, he gets up well. And it wasn't long actually. Like that kind of almost had a rejuvenating effect on the rest of our attack. It wasn't long before number 2 came in.
Yep, and that little magician, he's back now.
And he kind of sealed his return into most fans' hearts and minds with this. There's a free kick. Give it to Coutinho. You know what's going to happen. It's like giving James Milner a penalty.
Spectacular.
Yeah, 23rd minute.
He's like 30 odd yards
brilliant.
out. 30 odd yards, and he beats the keeper, no problem.
It was just stunning.
This was the game I think that Coutinho hit full form again for us. You know.
Yeah, this was kind of what he'd been building up to. You know, he came on in the Champions League, then against kind of Burnley, I remember League Cup, and sort of went through the motions there. And then this was actually him. Like, this wasn't a warm-up gig now, this was the headline show. And, God, you really realise during a game like this how much we missed him. Because we were looking... great in the first half.
We really were.
We were looking so good that you'd almost expect us to not concede before half-time.
Well, I mean, that's not one of my first thoughts. But we just had to concede, didn't we? We just had to.
Yeah. And we did. Okazaki again, his second goal against us in a week.
I'm really starting to hate that man.
Yeah, I can't actually remember too much about the goal itself, but
I think it's a set piece because I know Harry Maguire got the assist. I think it was like a set piece and he just finished it off after some more poor defending. Funnily enough.
Got to be honest, I say I can't remember it, but I'd put money on it being a set piece.
Yeah.
I'd bet my house on it. Yeah, and we so we came out for the second half, like relatively confident. Would you say confident?
I wouldn't say confident. I'd say we had a good opportunity and we just couldn't have to make any mistakes. And I mean, for the first 15 minutes of the second half, it was a bit tete-a-tete. You know, both teams are creating chances. You know that Leicester are very dangerous with the likes of Jamie Vardy and Riyad Mahrez. They are going to cause you problems, and they were causing us problems.
Yeah, you can never write them off.
But we were also causing them problems.
A player like Jamie Vardy is one you don't need to kind of build up for. He can just suddenly score a goal out of nothing, really. And so you can never quite relax. But I was quite buoyant.
But then there was 5 minutes of complete and utter madness.
Yeah. I mean, it started off pretty mad with Jordan Henderson scoring.
Well, yeah, and I mean, so my thing with this is I watched the first half, and then I had a family thing in the second half, and we were in a pub, and the game just happened to be on, and I sort of had I could half see what was going on, and I remember seeing us break away forward, and Danny Sturridge, who had come on a few minutes before this, laid it on a plate to someone to finish it off. And then I didn't know who it was, and then I realised it was Jordan Henderson, and I was genuinely quite surprised.
Yeah, for all his work ethic and for all his detractors, he's not a player that gets on the score sheet very often. This is his first goal in just over a year, since last September. That
amazing
fantastic
goal.
strike against Chelsea.
Our goal of the season, of course.
It was, wasn't it? Our plastic Scousers goal of the season. It seems strange, actually, to think that was his only goal of the season.
Yep.
But, you know, if he keeps doing them like that, I don't mind. It wasn't quite on the same level of brilliance, was it? But...
No, a simple finish, but he had to get it right, and he doesn't very often, so give him that.
Yeah. From there, 3-1 up with, only about 20 minutes to go. You would almost say we kind of looked set. But let's not forget, this is Liverpool. And what happened 1 minute later? less
than 60 seconds later, Jamie Vardy heads it in again, and it's 3-2. Do you know what? Yeah. I said I was at this family event. After we'd scored that goal, I went to the bar, and the time it took for me to stand up out of my seat and get to the bar, we'd conceded from the moment we'd scored. It literally took that long.
Did you go and sit back down again?
I didn't. I turned around and suddenly realised it was 3-2, and I was like, well, now I need a drink, so...
Right, you've come to the right place.
Yeah.
And it was actually very nearly, like, the crazy spell wasn't over. It was very nearly 3-3, about 3 minutes later.
It was ridiculous. Like, Leicester were just pouring forward at every opportunity, and we give away a really stupid penalty. God. Oh, just incredible. But
But Simon Mignolet,
another penalty save.
another penalty save. 7 penalty saves in 15.
I mean, that's got to be
15 shots. So
close to the record for the best penalty saving ratio a Liverpool keeper's ever had.
I mean, that's pretty decent. It's about 1 in
1 in 2.
1 in 2, very nearly, isn't it? So it's good. He's a lot better at saving penalties than we give him credit for, actually. When we kind of talk about Simon Mignolet, one thing we don't mention is his penalty record. Let's not forget his Liverpool career started with saving a penalty against Stoke way back in 2013. God, was that long ago? We've got a lot to thank him for this game in particular.
Well, particularly because the penalty save was actually made after he made the foul in the first place, so he kind of made up for it there. Yeah,
true. He kind of he went from 0 to hero very quickly.
Exactly.
He was nearly a hate figure, a whisker away. But we managed to see the game out.
Well, it was very much, we did ride our luck. They definitely created a couple more chances, and Mignolet made a couple of saves, and they missed good opportunities.
There was even time for the now customary, I've been speaking actually to the people at the Royal College Greenwich, to the Greenwich Mean Time and the Greenwich Meridian.
The observatory, yeah.
And who kind of almost like monitor the time, like the correct seconds of the clock, and to the exact second. And actually, they've agreed recently that any spell of just over or under 10 minutes is now going to be known as Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain time. And we did actually get that at the end of this game, of course. 79th minute, Coutinho came off, and it was Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain time for another very small and fairly ineffectual cameo at the end of the game. Didn't really do anything, but you weren't really expecting him to.
Didn't matter this time, did it? Thank God.
No, but yeah, I do feel a bit sorry for him, but it's not looking good for him so far.
But why do we have to score 3 goals a game to win any time? I know that's not specifically true, but it does feel like it at the moment, doesn't it?
It does, but it's more exciting than a 1-0 win, isn't it? And this is Liverpool. We're always kind of, because we've got such kind of strike power. But you ally that with a very precarious defence, and so we can never get away with winning 1-0 because by the time we win 1-0, we've conceded 3. So we have to bang up the other end and score 4 or so. It's the only way. It's the only way.
Apparently,
it's always been the way.
But this is
it's always going to be the way. But we won. It was our first win of the month somehow on the 23rd. It was a long time coming. It was obviously all the more satisfying when it did, and that was our last league game of the month. So it left us top 5, which after a fairly disappointing month of draws against Burnley and a hammering at Man City, it's not too bad.
No, it's not at all. And of course, beating Craig Shakespeare finally. But
yes,
yeah, let's move on to the last game of the month in the Champions League, and we're in Russia.
We are. Talk us through the lineup.
Yeah, well,
pretty strong, I thought.
Pretty strong. Karius finds himself back in goal, of course, for these games. But otherwise, most of the players, Mane's back in, having missed his Premier League and domestic duties. Trent Alexander-Arnold seems to now be pretty much the Champions League fullback, and Flano finds himself back on the bench again.
Yeah, bit of a surprise given the strength of the starting lineup and actually the strength of the bench. It wasn't one for kind of experimentation at all, this one, but aided undoubtedly by the fact Joe Gomez was banned from playing or having any part in the game. Flano got himself a ticket on the plane.
Great
as they say on FIFA, you've got to buy a ticket if you want to win the raffle.
Exactly. So, yeah.
Although thinking about it, that was probably a raffle ticket rather than a plane ticket.
Yes, true. But I tell you what, if you want a game that sums up this month, I think this was it. This was, how the hell do we not win this match?
Ah, I don't know.
It's extraordinary.
It was We didn't even go ahead
No.
first.
Well, look,
Oh.
I mean, it's
Ah.
just to go quick to what happened here. We created so many chances even before we conceded first again, through a basically Spartak Moscow's only chance of the entire match. It's just a great free kick, but for God's sake, like this felt
Whoa, hang on.
This felt really unlucky.
Hang on, Matt. You just said a free kick.
Yeah.
Well, that would imply that Liverpool conceded from a set piece. Surely not.
Surely not. I know, right?
You're joshing me. Surely Liverpool conceded from a set piece. That's unthinkable.
Unheard
I won't
of.
hear of it.
Direct free kick from Fernando, 1-0 down, having created so many chances even before this, giving them one opportunity and they take it. And I mean that's Burnley again. It's exactly the same thing.
We're playing for Russian Burnley.
It's just
We've flown like 3,000 miles across the whole of mainland Europe to play Burnley in Moscow.
yeah, it's crazy. And yet again, much like Burnley, it didn't take us that long to get back to 1-1 with a great goal from Philippe Coutinho.
Who, I mean, we said it last game, but if he hasn't kind of earned every fan's forgiveness, then he has now. Do you know what I mean? Another goal. He's really doing what I hoped he would. He did a Suarez in 2013, where he really pissed everyone off over the summer. And then actually came back and had the season of his life. And so far, it looks like Coutinho might actually be giving us that fabled, but as yet mythical idea of a consistent Coutinho. We can but hope.
But that, yeah. So
But yeah.
After
Sorry.
that, oh God, it was just chance after chance. Firmino missed an open goal. Salah missed chances. Mane missed chances. Coutinho missed chances. Everyone missed chances. I just can't explain how irritating it is to be a Liverpool fan. Oh God.
Yeah, it is. It's and every time you think actually we're getting somewhere and we've got a really kind of positive, powerful, passionate attack, it just doesn't go in. And it's like, what is it gonna like? What are we missing other than the goal? Like, you think it's immensely frustrating. And actually, you know, a point away in Europe is generally decent. You know, they say win your home games, draw your away games, and you get through. That works out about 12 points.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah. They say that's for Keita, but the problem is, we'd already drawn one of our home games. They're not the best opposition in the world. We are objectively better than them.
Yeah.
And we should not only we should be beating them, but we should have beaten them. Do you know what I mean? Like on paper we should have beaten them. On grass or whatever, you know, weird plastic 4G AstroTurf substitute they use over there. Like on whatever that is, we should have beaten them as well. But we didn't. We just didn't beat them.
It's so annoying. And that means that, you know, 2 games, 2 draws from 2 matches that we should have won. Champions League hasn't exactly gone off to the best of starts.
No, it's 2 points. Just it's not. I mean, were it not for the fact that we've got 2 games against Maribor to come, for that I do actually feel vaguely confident that we will be better on paper as well as on grass. Were it not for that, I would actually be panicking a bit by now.
Yeah, it's kind of worrying, isn't it?
Yeah, but I'm hoping that the kind of 2 games against Maribor will give us a chance to actually, you know, reinvigorate our campaign, because so far it has all been a bit 2014-15, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Except with less defeats.
But that's it. We've got through all the games of the month. Quite a few to chew through. Lots of talking points, as we did say. But yeah, that's September. And then coming into the international break in October. Okay, let's move on. And let's do our regular feature for this season. Of course, last season we did the A to Z for the entire history of Liverpool Football Club. This time we thought we'd be a little bit more focused, celebrating 30 years of the Premier League. Celebrating 25 years of the Premier League.
That went well.
With a little bit of a jokey, fun feature where we remember some of the less great players to have played for Liverpool over the course of that time, with what we like to refer to as the Despicable 11. Now, in our first episode, we looked at some of the worst goalkeepers that we've ever had, and we eventually settled on a player still at the club in Adam Bogdan. So that was number one. Number two, traditionally in a strict 4-4-2 formation, number two is seen as the right back position, which we've actually been quite blessed with some pretty good right backs throughout the years. Of course, Steve Finnan, one of my personal favourite players for Liverpool. Glenn Johnson, who was maligned in certain circles, but I think was unarguably a very good player for us at all. Of course, Nathaniel Klein is our number one right back at the moment.
I wouldn't have put Glenn Johnson in there, but I'll let you finish. Sorry, I'll let you finish. But Alvaro Arbeloa, surely he's got to be said before Glenn Johnson. He was a fantastic right back.
Interesting debate. Are you telling me that you're nominating Glenn Johnson in our Despicable 11s?
Well, yeah, why not? Okay. He wasn't going to be my first shout, but see, I wasn't going to, but now I feel I have to justify it. He got a lot better, actually, Glenn Johnson. He started off a bit of a, he had an enormous price tag on him. He didn't really justify it at first. Then he got quite good. Then everyone forgot about him, which is always a good sign for a right back. And then he got a bit poor again. But he made 200 appearances. Do you know what I mean? He made, I think, exactly 200 appearances. He made his last game for Liverpool in the same fixture as Steven Gerrard made his last game. And that overshadowing was kind of a theme of his Liverpool career. He was always overshadowed by whether it was the amount of money we paid to get him there, or the fact that no one really noticed him, or the fact that when he was playing well, you didn't notice him, or the fact that his final appearance for the club after 7 years was was such a disastrous performance, and it was all about Steven Gerrard. So I think Glenn Johnson isn't the worst right back we've ever had in Premier League era, but he's probably the most overshadowed in terms of his career. I feel a bit sorry for him. No, he's not the worst. So there we go. There's the case for him to be the worst, but I don't even believe it myself.
So who do you believe is the worst, or would a nomination of several?
Oh, well, what was going to be the first name on my list was Philip Dagan.
I knew it.
Yeah, you knew it. Who you might actually remember in the closing minutes, in the dying embers of the 2010 summer transfer window, I led quite an active campaign on Twitter for him to be sacked. No, it can't have been 2010. It must have been 2011 or 2012. I didn't have Twitter in 2010. Whenever it was.
No, he left in 20. No, his contract. No, it was 2011. You are right. He didn't appear for us for most of a season, and then left the following summer.
Yeah, because what it was no one would buy him. He wasn't, like you say, he hadn't been playing. He hadn't been very good when he was playing, and we couldn't even sell the bugger. To the point where, actually, if I remember correctly, we just cancelled his contract.
Yeah,
we did just say
mutual consent, I think it was.
Yeah, that doesn't happen a lot these days. Do you know what I mean? I think it might have. It wasn't even in the transfer window that it happened. We kind of couldn't sell him, despite my best efforts on Twitter. I was just hawking him around every club in the conference. And then so, in the middle of September, we just, cancelled his contract. And he was fine with it.
No, I'm not sure that was the case. I believe, according to the research I've got, it was the transfer window of August 2011. And we let him go, basically, on deadline day.
Because he'd been out on loan the year before as well. He joined in, 2009? 2008. He was signed by Benitez, of course. Never one to miss a waste of money. Rafa Benitez. He made his debut in a 2-1 home win against Crewe Alexandra, in which he broke his ribs and punctured a lung.
That's not funny.
It's not funny until you consider that he did that. And this is a perfect metaphor for his career. Do you know how he broke 2 ribs and punctured a lung on his debut?
No.
He collided with He was out for 2 months immediately after his debut, having been involved in a collision with an altogether 100% much better defender than himself in Sammy Hippier.
Oh, God. Oh,
He collided with Sammy Hippier and punctured a lung.
It's not funny.
Yeah, Owen didn't play again until the League Cup next couple of rounds against Spurs when he broke a metatarsal.
It's just brilliantly not fun. It's so macabre in many ways, isn't it?
It is. And he was out for another 6 weeks. And we laughed, but then apparently he just broke down in tears in the dressing room afterwards. He said it was the worst thing that's ever happened to me. It was the saddest event of my life, and I do feel a bit bad. But it was kind of, he made it back again, and then he came back in January 2009, midway through that season. He actually scored.
What?
Against Man United.
No, he didn't.
Reserves.
Right, I was going to say, hang on.
Scored against Man United reserves. And just after he did so, he broke his metatarsal again.
It's amazing. Is this guy made of glass or what?
Yeah, it's. He didn't have a lot of luck, did he?
No.
Actually, he was. I remember him as just being really, really bad. But to be fair, he was very unlucky. But yeah, he was loaned out by Rory Hodgson at the start of that season to Stuttgart for the season. Do you know how many appearances he made for Stuttgart?
I'm going to guess it's not a lot.
5.
Did he get injured by any chance?
I don't think so. It was an appearance for every metatarsal he had left. But yeah, I just remember him for really wanting to get rid of him in the summer of 2011. And then we did because we just literally just tore up his contract. And it's from, you use the word macabre. I'm going to use a word which I don't think I've used to describe a footballer before, which is pathetic. in the actual literal meaning of the word, it is really just, it's pitiful. Do you know what I mean? I feel for the guy, but he played all in all, he played 12 times for us. 12 times, 2 foot injuries, 2 broken ribs, 1 punctured lung, and it ended with us just saying, "Well, nobody wants you, but neither do we." Ta-ra. And it's a shame, isn't it?
Oh, it's funny.
And yeah, he's only recently retired actually. After we told him we didn't want him anymore, he went to Basel, where he started his career, and played a grand total of 79 times in 5 years.
Oh dear.
Yeah, but just for swings and roundabouts, he won the Swiss Super League 8 times. He has won 8 more league titles than Steven Gerrard.
It's incredible, isn't it?
It's not fair. Life is not fair.
But
anyway,
yeah.
So that's Philip Dagan. The utter tragedy that is Philip Dagan's Liverpool career.
I mean, he is right up there as one of the best shouts, right?
He punctured a lung.
Broke 2 ribs.
Anyway, who you got?
Well, I mean, it's difficult to beat such an atrocious nomination, but my first nomination is actually a man we've previously given an award to.
Oh, who's that?
Apple Xavier.
Ah, yes.
Yes,
the greatest ever Liverpool player whose surname begins with an X.
And yeah, I think he's also the worst right back of the Premier League era, or the most despicable right back of the Premier League era in our club.
Would you go so far as to say he's the worst ever Liverpool player whose surname begins with an X?
I mean, yes, I would. I would stick my neck out and say that is true. The thing is, I partly gave him this not because of his Liverpool career, which wasn't terrible, but kind of much like Dagan's, plagued by injury. It's everything around that. I mean, he firstly got suspended from international games for 6 months. After a handball at Euro 2000, and then but the thing is, it wasn't just that, it was the remonstrations afterwards that got him a 6-month ban.
That's ridiculous.
What did he say? I don't know. I don't know anything I could say that got me a 6-month ban from international football.
No, I mean Suarez only got 8 for biting someone.
It's just, incredible. But he came to Liverpool, and he wasn't. We came from Everton, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he did. He crossed the park.
Which is not common.
No.
I mean, I can't think of how many players. I think Nick Barmby did it, I think. But I think that might be it.
I think actually Xavier might be the last one to do it. I think he did it after Nick Barmby, did he?
Yeah. I think he might be right. Certainly the last one I can remember to do it. So, and that's not, that wasn't a problem per se. But he did score on his debut, which was a nice little moment for him. But, had a few injury problems. And was eventually, after kind of just very quickly decided we don't want you here, was farmed out to Galatasaray on loan, which didn't go well. He wasn't wanted by them. He wasn't wanted by us either. So he then I think he eventually signed for Hanover.
Hanover 96, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, who forced him out after 3 months.
Why?
I just don't think. I think they just thought it was rubbish. Like it was literally as bad as that. I think he had attitude problems, to be fair, and I think he also had his fitness question. He was told basically, "You gotta go."
Wasn't he also on shitloads of drugs?
What, medication drugs or like actual illegal drugs?
Actual like coke, I think. Wasn't he? I had this feeling. Didn't he fail loads of drugs tests?
Well, this is another story because I mean, firstly, he then went to Roma, which was a decent move considering.
That's a good move for him.
Yeah. He gave him a try. He only played 3 games before actually he ended up joining Middlesbrough in August of 2005.
I remember that, yeah.
Who I believe, was this just after they got to the European Cup final, or was he part of it?
He was part of it.
Yeah, incredible.
The UEFA Cup, yeah, he was part of that.
It was Steve McLaren's greatest achievement in football, pretty much. Apart from somehow convincing England that he should be their manager, but
they only won the league with FC20.
Yeah, no, you're right. But he's
Credit where credit's due. Come on, I like Steve McLaren.
I mean, my favourite thing about him is simply, not that this is completely off topic, my favourite thing about him was just the interview he did where he was basically speaking in a horrific Dutch accent, which I thought was hysterical.
Yeah, that was iconic.
Yeah, I mean, it's like David Beckham doing it for Milan or Joey Barton doing it for France.
Yeah, I remember Joey Barton doing it. That was toe curling as well.
Yeah, but that was a highlight of his career, so there we go. But there we go. So no, he did end up at Middlesbrough, and I think he was banned for 14 months for them for failing a drugs test. I think this is what you meant.
Yeah, that was it.
But he kept on the books incredibly for Middlesbrough and came back for them. So I mean,
God loves a trier. You band man.
Yeah, you can't argue he's not had an amazingly unique career, I would say, which was topped off for playing for LA Galaxy for a year.
Was he there at the same time as Beckham?
You are indeed correct, yes.
Yeah. So he finished this ridiculously, up and down and anticlimactic career by playing in the same team as David Beckham.
In Los Angeles, of all places.
In Los Angeles.
I mean, fair enough to your son. But I think shortly renounced his retirement because he couldn't get a club for about a year, and then became a devout Muslim. So he changed his name, I think.
Oh. What's he called now?
Faisal Xavier.
Oh, quite nice.
So there we go.
How fitting that a man whose name was spelled Abel is no longer able.
No.
As he wasn't for much of his playing career.
No, but I mean, he had wonderful hair. He was a great character. Good friends with Paul Gascoigne, which is well.
Was he?
Yeah, can be a good or bad thing. I mean,
that's probably why he was on over drugs.
Yeah, poor man. Yeah, again, big love to you too, Gaza. But
yes.
Yeah, Abel Xavier, amazing, despicable, incredible.
See,
ridiculous.
I after all that, I'm more convinced that he deserves the award than the condemnation. You've just reaffirmed my love for Abel Xavier.
I know. I mean, I did put him in there only because of the amount of crazy, mad stuff that happens. So,
well, I'm going to throw another one into the mix then, a bit more recently. Do you remember the chant, "He came from Malaga, he plays like Carragher"?
No.
To the tune of the Addams Family theme tune, but I'm not really a singer. Do you remember what player it might have been aimed at?
Hosami?
Correct. Or to give him his full name, Jose Miguel Gonzalez Rey, which I think means something king, which is quite ironic. Well, there's not a lot to say. He was actually well, but the best fact about him, because let me point out now, the song "He Comes from Malaga, he plays like Carragher" was only 50% right. We did sign him from Malaga. Rafa Benitez signed him from Malaga as Rafa Benitez's first ever signing as Liverpool manager. £2 million he cost us when he made history as our first ever Spaniard as well. That's a bit mental. Given the kind of, revolution that Benitez inspired in terms of Spanish players. To think at one point our first ever Spaniard, the only example we had of a Spanish Liverpool player was Hosseini. It's pretty dire. So joined at the start of the 2004-2005 season. He played a few times in the Champions League campaign that year. He made 5 starts, 7 appearances in all, but didn't really feature in the later stages, except for the final, when he did feature very prominently as Steven Gerrard lifted the trophy. Having been an unused sub, he somehow managed to kind of get right next to Steven Gerrard for that kind of iconic shot when the trophy goes up. I mean, in his defence, wouldn't you?
Oh, yeah.
I would get as close to that bloody trophy as I could.
Oh, of course.
And so I don't begrudge him that, but he has become our David May, our John Terry, if you will, with the exception that he's nowhere near as good a defender.
But probably a better human being.
But yeah, undoubtedly a better human being. I can't think of many worse human beings than John Terry.
No. Although, move on.
No, I can't. Most people have redeemable qualities. I believe in the redemptive power of human nature for all except John Terry. But yeah, remarkably, and I don't think we can say this about many other of the Despicable 11 by the time we finish it. Medal, then maybe we will. Who knows? He's got a Champions League winner's medal. He's and by that token, he's actually arguably a better player than some of the all-time greats of the game. But he's not, of course. He's just got a Champions League winner's medal and a Super Cup winner's medal and a League Cup runners-up medal. But midway through the 2005-06 season, we got rid of him. This is like kind of the final underwhelming thing about Hosami was that he left in something you don't really get very often anymore, which is swap deals. They're kind of they're a sort of football manager thing rather than they are a reality thing these days. You don't get many sometimes you'll say oh yeah, such and such has agreed to join so and so for £20 million with someone else going the other way as part of the bargain. But it doesn't really happen very often. And certainly not a straight swap, but that's how we got rid of him. And yeah, the final kind of anticlimactic, underwhelming moment for Hosami is that the person we swapped him for wasn't that good either, which was Jan Kromkamp, who's also a right back, and is actually, he might crop up in this discussion in about 5 minutes, but yeah, as if it wasn't bad enough that he wasn't very good. But we didn't even swap up for him. You know what I mean? We got rid of him. We got someone. It was a straight swap. It was an absolutely straight swap, and we got a fairly poor right back in return for getting rid of a fairly poor right back.
Well, they do have another thing in common, is that neither of them could dislodge Steve Finnan. So
No, because Steve Finnan, actually, as you say, is one of our best right backs of the last 25 years. He was an excellent player. He does not get. If I can think of one modern Liverpool player who does not get the credit they deserve for their career, it would probably be Steve Finnan.
No, I think you might be right.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's the case for Hosseini. Although he did end up, just a footnote in case you're wondering what happened to him, he ended up playing for Atletico Kolkata, or Calcutta, in the Indian Super League.
In fact, alongside Luis Garcia.
Yes. In fact, he actually won the league with Atletico Kolkata, meaning Hosseini has got more league titles under his belt than Steven Gerrard as well.
Very true. Sad.
Life is not fair, Matt. Life is not fair.
Although, you say that, Steven Gerrard hasn't ever been relegated as a footballer, whereas Hosseini's managed to do it 3 times, so, you know.
Has he?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
No, he's been relegated 3 times. With various teams, particularly in Greece, and also Spain, so, there we go.
Do you want to know something else, actually? Like, Abel Xavier won the league with Benfica in 1994.
Very good point.
All 3 of our despicable right-backs so far have won the league more times than Steven Gerrard.
Not the
or
league.
Jamie Carragher.
Not the league, but various leagues.
But they've won a league title.
Yeah.
Mind you, so is Andre Wisdom. In fact, let's talk about him next. Why not?
Really?
Nah, no, I like Andre Wisdom.
No.
But who have you got that's worse than Andre Wisdom?
No, actually, I don't have that many more nominations, weirdly. But I do have a player who is more famous, maybe, in recent times for his Twitter than anything else on the farm with Bjorn Tor Kavam, so... yeah.
I was waiting for him to come up.
Yeah. No, first choice between 1996 and 1998. But doesn't mean he was the best player we ever had. But he just wasn't very good. In fact...
They weren't golden years, were they, between 1996 and 1988? Let's be honest.
No.
To be first choice in those years wasn't much of a badge of honour.
But it was just bad. I mean, the worst thing was the fact that he was made to look an idiot by Danny Cadamarteri for Everton.
Oh my God, I'd forgotten about him.
Yes, exactly.
What happened to Danny Cadamarteri?
But what did actually happen was the fact that he made Bjorn Tor Kavam look pretty atrocious in a Merseyside derby, which you really can't get away with.
No.
And I mean, that wasn't the only time either, because he also looked terrible at Old Trafford in another game, and even at Coventry, so... He was dropped by 1998, and I don't think he ever saw another game for us, to be honest.
Yeah, he went to Saint Etienne after that, didn't he?
Yeah, I think he did.
Yeah, he was captain there.
No.
Yeah. In fact, and he played... This is weird. He was at Real Sociedad for a bit, alongside Xabi Alonso.
Good God.
Yeah, it's a small world, isn't it?
It really is.
And you know what else, Matt?
No.
He won the league 5 times.
For God's sake.
With Rosenborg. He won the Tipperliga, which is the best league to win. It's called the Tipperliga. But oh my God, how has this happened? How have they all won the league?
I mean, yeah, we could have picked so many other players, but no. There we go. I mean, the thing is, though, with Bjorn Torgvarm is, it's not like I don't like him, he just wasn't very good for us, so I have no real other argument for that.
Yeah. So yeah, there's not many others that are truly awful, like of his levels. Do you know what I mean? It's
No,
like
not who actually played at right back in the Premier League, anyway.
No, like Andre Wisdom, as I say, was never quite lived up to expectations, but you wouldn't call him despicable. I mean, I suppose the only other one you could possibly make a case for would be Jan Kromkamp, but again, he wasn't actually that bad, to be fair to him. He was just not very... He wasn't great. He only lasted 6 months, from January 2006 to summer 2006. But in that time, he did, I think, provide the assist for Steven Gerrard's volley at the end of the 2006 FA Cup final, which should not be forgotten. And yeah, and he's probably won the league somewhere, let's be honest. There's really not very many, are there?
No, sadly not, weirdly. Which then means...
Well, we've got some good nominees, though. We've got some good nominees.
There are, but I mean... it's just... You know what? It can't be anyone else, can it?
Gotta be. It's gotta be.
Anyone else. I mean, I just... Not only because of the injuries or the outright Twitter barrage you decided to lay, not to him, but because of him.
Which can I point out that 6 years on, I do now feel a bit bad for.
But I mean, everything he touched seemed to turn to shit.
Yeah.
The opposite of the Midas touch.
The opposite of Midas. Philip Dagan.
Philip Dagan, you are number 2.
But I couldn't have put it better myself. Right. Well, that brings us nearly onwards. Well, it does bring us onwards.
Nearly onwards. Well,
In the spirit of such jollity and levity, it's time for our next feature, our final feature of September. And it's the return of an always popular one, which is our jokes. I can't think of any better way to describe it.
It's the worst introduction to anything.
How do you introduce jokes? It's not like there's a concept to be explained, is there? It's just jokes. Go on, you introduce it better. Go on.
Okay, I'll do it very quickly, very easily. And now, because, let's be honest, we can't think of anything else to do, it's jokes.
How is that better intro than what I did?
I don't know anymore. The thing is, this is going to have to all stay in, isn't it?
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah,
Right.
Right, okay, jokes.
Should we do some jokes?
Yes, let's do some jokes. Okay, who wants to go first?
How does Ryan make sure that his baby son is strapped in safely in a car?
You don't think I don't know the answer to this?
Go on.
It's a Brewster seat. Come on, who else? There are so many Ryans. Burke. So bad. Okay. Right, the thing is that mine's even worse. Is what do Liverpool's front players eat on a diet?
Oh God, I don't know.
Mohammed side salad.
What?
That's the worst one.
Oh, trust me, it's not. It's not.
The first one, certainly. But there we go.
Which Hindu god? Which Hindu? By the way, happy Diwali to all our listeners. Which Hindu god used to play at left back for Liverpool?
I don't know.
Gregory Vishnu.
What? That sounds nothing like Vinyl.
It's pronounced Vishnu, isn't it?
Vinyl, no.
I spent the last 14 years thinking it was pronounced Vishnu.
Vishnu, no, it's Vinyl.
Oh, fuck.
I mean, this is a great start. I think the funniest joke about this is the fact it's just the joke itself. Right. Why are Liverpool like a Range Rover?
Because they always do things on the Jeep?
Get out.
I don't know. Come on. The answer better be better than that.
Why are Liverpool like a Range Rover? Pretty good at the front and loads of space in the back.
Hey. Well, that brings me on to my next one. Why is Liverpool's back four like an octopus?
I don't know.
Because it's got 8 legs, 1 brain and lots of suckers.
Great, I like that one. Why were the bull and the officer of the Queen's household taken to court for indecency?
Oh, God almighty. Because the Oxlade Chamber.
Yes!
Oh, Christ.
Come on, that's either amazing or awful, and it's probably both.
It's probably both. It's not a straight line, it's a horseshoe. And when it gets so far one way, it catches up with your end. Why is Dominic always asked to reach things down off the top shelves in supermarkets?
Because he's so lanky. Leave me alone.
Because he's so lanky.
You're so bad at this.
How are these worse?
Because there are so many. Dominic. Oh, because he's Matteo. What else do you need? first names don't work.
Oh, okay, I'll stop with first names. Alright, I'll stop with first names.
Alright, okay. Why does Salah always leave his drinks unfinished at the bar?
Also, before I answer this, I'm not taking lessons on good jokes from someone who came up with Mohammed side salad.
Hey, but I also came up with Oxlade Chamberlain. I managed to make a joke out of Oxlade Chamberlain.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. Anyway, why does Salah always leave his drinks unfinished at the bar?
I don't know.
Because he struggles to finish his shots.
Hey. Why do we never have any Hungarian goalkeepers playing for Liverpool anymore?
I don't know.
Because they're always bogged down in paperwork.
Hey, I like that. Because I did the Bogdan joke last year, so it's good.
Yeah, I think I did it the year before.
We just like the Bogdan jokes.
It's a good joke.
Speaking of... No, actually, no. I'm not going to say that because actually Tom Hanks is a wonderful man. Is he a Liverpool fan? Did I hear that somewhere as well? Tom Hanks is a Liverpool fan.
I think he might be.
I feel like... Or at least it was mentioned in an interview at one point. Anyway.
Yeah, someone like that is. I know Samuel L. Jackson is. Not that he's the same person, but...
Not at all. But who's Tom Hanks' current favourite Liverpool player?
Is this going to be a reference to a Tom Hanks film I probably haven't seen?
Maybe, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Ah! Wilson!
Yes!
Nice. Speaking of young Welsh wingers, why shouldn't you throw a young Welsh winger on the fire?
I'm going to let you have this one. Go on.
Because he would burn.
There you go.
There we go.
He
would burn.
He would. Well, yeah, anyone would. Like, that's just logic. Why is Gini Wijnaldum so good at hide and seek?
Go on.
I don't know, but have you been able to find him lately?
Harsh. But good. Which Liverpool midfielder killed Steve Irwin?
I don't know.
Stingray Jam.
Hey, that's quite cool.
I'm quite proud of that.
That's not too bad.
I'm proud of that.
Why did Joel Matip and Dale Lovren not enjoy their trip to India?
Joel Matip and Dale Lovren not enjoy their trip to India.
It left them leaky at the back.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
It's a poo joke.
The utter glee with which you said that.
It's nothing funnier than...
Not even the first poo joke tonight.
No, true.
What do you call... This is a bit niche, this one. Just to prepare you. What do you call a square-jawed, old-fashioned superhero from the future who plays for the Liverpool under-23s?
I don't know.
Jan Dander. Hey, who let that tumbleweed out?
I'm quite glad that was a good sound effect. I'm quite pleased with that. I think you'll like this one though. I think this might be...
Not that or you were being sick.
Yeah, both.
Both would be understandable reactions. Dander, you know Dander.
Yeah, but
Jan Dander.
I'm not 75 years old.
So some of our listeners are.
Are they?
I don't know.
Well,
It will be by the time we finish this
yeah,
speech.
that's true. No, I think you'll like this joke. This is really good. I think you'll like this one. What do Liverpool goalkeepers get for a Friday night takeaway?
Loris carry out.
John Actor burgers. It's really silly. I like it a lot.
Hey,
It's niche, but it's also silly. I liked it.
it's good. It's good. If my calculations are correct, I've got two more, and I can't decide which one's worse. What do French?
Uh-oh, he's laughing at his own joke. It must be good.
No, it really isn't. What do French wingers use to dry themselves after having a bath?
I don't know.
Letalicum powder.
Jesus Christ! You were scraping the bottom. You went so far through the bottom of the barrel. You're going into the earth now.
I told you. You should hear the next one. You should hear my last one.
All right. Well, what's better than Adam Bogdan in goal?
Literally anything?
Absolutely. It's really, yep.
Okay. Here we go. This is the best joke I've ever made up in any context ever.
It has to be better than Oxlade-Chamberlain.
I don't think you're going to like it, but I'll give it a go.
Go on.
Just, setting the bar high. What's the difference, Matt Simpson, what's the difference between Liverpool's greatest ever goalkeeper and the staff of a citrus fruit grove clearing the ground of windfalls at the end of the autumn harvest?
I mean, I've not understood half the words in the joke itself.
I'll read it to you again. What is the difference, Matt Simpson, between Liverpool's greatest ever goalkeeper
I understand that part.
and the staff of a citrus fruit grove clearing the ground of windfalls at the end of the autumn harvest?
I don't know.
One's Ray Clements, the other's Rake Lemons.
I quite like that. That's quite good. I like that. You should be more proud of that one. I mean, it took a while to explain, but yeah.
I'm quite, yeah. It's tenuous, but I like it.
Okay, well, unfortunately, I'm going to have to finish these now with this one. Why did the old lady fall down in the middle of the pitch?
Something about Hendu. I don't know.
What would an old lady going to hen do?
Old ladies are allowed to get married as well, Matt.
No, I mean, it's just being one of the bridesmaids getting lashed and wearing like L plates and stuff.
You can have an old lady bridesmaid. If you get married when you're 90, you might have your Doris as your bridesmaid. I don't know. I'm just clutching at straws.
I just love the idea
My
of
brain is exhausted after the Rake Lemons joke.
I just love the idea of a group of old ladies like in Alicante, doing tequila slammers and dancing with strippers. I just think that's incredible.
That's an ITV1 comedy drama right there.
I'll do the joke again. Why did the old lady fall down in the middle of the pitch?
I don't know.
Because none of our midfielders were able to assist. Thank you. Thank you. We're out of here.
That's a good way to go. And after the month we've had, that's a good way to finish.
Yeah, it's been pretty poor, isn't it?
But the only way is up.
Well,
it's not, because we only lost one game. Well, two.
And we only won one, so...
Yeah.
But hey...
Things can only get better.
October is... Well, quite frankly, with the date this is released, October's almost done. But, yeah, so we're going to be back fairly soon, I guess, with our October podcast. But thank you very much for listening and waiting dutifully for it.
If you'd like to follow us on Twitter or get in touch on Twitter, you can speak to us at Scousers, or you can speak to us individually at OGB Collins or
at MCH Simpson.
And please do check us out on YouTube as well.
Yes, do. I need to update that quite badly right now, actually. Forgot about that.
There are some genuinely brilliant videos. If you thought those jokes were funny, right, wait till you see Matt try and eat some cream crackers and me try and drink some alcohol.
Yes, both of which don't go quite to plan.
Both of which are, a lot funnier than they sound, because I can't actually describe quite why they are so funny, but they are definitely worth watching.
They are, it's brilliant.
And that is us until the end of October.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, thank you very much for listening. We'll see you again then.
Great, take care of each other and yourselves.
Oh, I am a Liverpudlian, and I come from the Spy Cup. I love to sing, I love to shout, I get thrown out quite a lot. We support the team that's dressed in red. It's a team that you all know. It's a team that we call Liverpool, and to glory we will go. We've won the league.